Okay. Yes. I hope now it is clear. If you have any issue, just kindly rejoin. Still, there is a problem. We will try to sort it out. Okay. Yeah. Now we'll see some of the general principles of planning. What are the points need to be considered while designing a plant? A good transportation facilities. So while you are designing a plant or facility, it should have a good transportation facility and safe handling and storage facilities, how to handle various kinds of chemicals or raw materials or finished goods or semi-finished goods. Personal and welfare facilities. First of all, personal welfare facilities in the sense like toilet, urinals, restrooms or canteen, sitting area, etc. Engineering, utility and safety facilities. Definitely, if it is a facility, definitely we'll have an engineering, utilities as well as safety in the sense first aid centers and ambulance room, etc., should be there. Walkways, stairways, and platform and ramps wherever it is required. Definitely, there we need a walkways as well as stairs and platforms, and good lighting and ventilation. This is also one of the major principle we should consider whether we are able to provide a sufficient lighting as well as ventilation. Then elevators and lifting machines wherever there is a chance of the heavy goods which is need to be lifted, there definitely we need in elevators as well as lifting equipments, boilers and pressure vessels, fixed and portable machinery and equipments. So in case of any portable machinery, for example, tools or portable trolleys to shift the materials, electrical installation, fire protection also need to be required, and also other provisions for health and safety, for example, effluent disposal, water, first aid, emergency power, equipments, and also emergency planning. These are the some of the principles we have to consider while designing a. Then some of the general principles for the workplace. So that is about the plant overall level we have to consider. And here it will be workplace. Plan the ideal and also then the practical. So we have to see the theoretical manner as well as the practically whether it is meeting the requirement or not. Then plan the whole and detail. You should not plan for only one area and we should not leave it for the other space. So we should have to plan workplace means completely we have to plan and also in detail. It should not be half work we'll do today or further expansion we'll do after 6 months or another expansion we'll do after 1 year. So the plan should be for whole and also it should be in a detailed manner. We should have an idea that okay, next within 1 year what we are going to execute or what we are going to invest on it. Then plan the work process and also equipment around the system requirements. So how the work will be progressing as well as and what are the system requirements are there in that workplace that also need to be considered. And plan the workplace layout around the process and equipment. So workplace layout, it is also one of the part of the ergonomics. So how you are planning your workplace layout around the process in the sense the activity and the equipments in and around the equipment, what are the tools or what are the equipments or what are the racks or what are the fixtures you are going to fix to make easy to the worker, and plan final enclosure around the workplace layout. So in case if it is required, some of the systems it definitely requires a complete enclosure. If it is required, we will plan for final enclosure, how it is going to be designed. Then use a trials to evaluate the alternative and to check the final design. So we have to check for alternatives. We have seen in IS 101, there we have a planning. So there we have plan A, plan B and plan C. There we used to choose the n number of plans, we will choose the best alternative and we are going to execute it. If it is not works well, then we'll go for a plan B. Similar way, we should have an option of number of designs. Out of the designs, we have to do a trial and error. Then we have to go for a final design of a workplace. Here we have to have a detailed plan. It should be practically implementable. We should plan for the whole workplace design. And also we have to identify what are the processes and systems are required in that work area, and the workplace layout should be finalized in and around the process as well as equipment, and we have to final enclosure if it is required, it has to be placed, and also we have to do a trial and error before going to execute the process or execute the project. Layout. In layout, there are a number of requirements will be there. If you see in general layout, size, shape, location, construction, building layout, and further facilities should permit the efficient utilization of machines. For example, whatever the machines you are installing it. Yeah. For example, if you see, so permit efficient utilization of machines, processes, and materials. So what it has to be considered? The size. For example, the size of a walkway. If the walkway, the size is very less, even the pathway is very less, what will happen? I can't able to do it. The shape and the location. I mean, the walkway, how it is going, it should not be like a snake. It should be in a straight way. And location, exactly where the location is there, and construction, a building layout, whether the building layout is properly designed based on my process. So all these things will be going to affect the efficient utilization of machines as well as process in the sense department and material. It has to help. A need and possibility of a one story or multi-story structure should be decided. And it is also very important that you should not plan for the only ground floor. Later, you should not think that array or do floor dalta to acha hota tha. No. Before starting of a layout design itself, you have to have an idea how many floors you are going to plan. The layout should be properly planned to allow a smooth flow of efficient use of man, material, methods, and processes in time cycle. It is simple that, for example, I have in a production blocks, uh, 4 production blocks I have. My material first process will happen here, then it will go to fourth one. It is block 2 and block 3 and block 4. Then it will go to block 2, then it will come to block 1, again finishing it will go to block 1. So here the randomly it is there is a proper sequence of process. So in other way, what I do is, instead of this, what I make is, I'll make an even flow of the process. So here even flow, what will happen? Once I done a process in completed in bay 1 or block 1, then it will go to block 2, then it will go to block 3, then it will go to block 4, and then it will go for out. It will go for a dispatch. So this is the even flow. So the layout should properly planned for the smooth operation of man, machine, material, process, everything. It is not about only this thing. For example, a person is working in block 1, he has to go and punch in block 4. That is not right. Or he can have punching here itself. Or his reporting boss is sitting in block 4. If anything is required, every time he has to go to block 4 and report his officer. So in such a way, we have to design, it should run a smooth flow of utilization of man, machine, material, and methods, and should allow a good and safe working conditions to prevent any accidents or risk. So it is not about to only the utilization of these resources, and also the layout should not make any condition which will leads to accident. అంటే మన లేఅవుట్ అనేది ప్రమాదానికి గురి చేసే విధంగా ఉండకూడదు. That is also one point we should be remember while designing a layout. And then some of the principles of a good layout, how we can say it is a good layout. If you ask me, enough workspace, 2 meters square per person should be provided for the workers to work without any restriction, and proper roads, walkways, tracks, and allays, catwalks should be provided for a free passage of man, material to avoid any delay and also obstruction. Sufficient doors, windows, and ventilators and open space must be provided for good ventilation and lighting. And installation of machinery, floors, stairs, and lifting machines. Electric wiring must be done to ensure safety. Allows it a space, 1 meter space around the machine. So 1 meter space will be around the machine for the easy maintenance of any easy maintenance activity. And keep handling of materials to minimize and use mechanical means to reduce the manual stress. So here handling of material, we have seen manual material handling as well as mechanical material handling. So there we can suggest wherever there is a possibility of introducing of any machines, there we can definitely suggest a mechanical intervention so that we can avoid the manual strain as well as accident rate also we can reduce. Then provide safe means of access to all the workplaces. The safe means of access means, for example, a machine is almost a 4 meter or 5 meter height. So here he want to change some wall. So he have a ladder here to reach the top, but he cannot do it by standing on the ladder. So wherever such kind of portions where it is required a regular maintenance, there we should provide a platform. It has to be identified. Wherever the man access is properly, he is not able to comfortably sit and work. There we have to identify all the areas. There we have to provide a proper access for reaching as well as and performing of an activity. And provide safe transport. Sorry?
Excuse me, sir. ఒకసారి ఫస్ట్ నుంచి ఒకసారి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయరా సార్ 6 పాయింట్స్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయరా సార్ ఒకసారి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయరా అంటే ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్ నుంచి ఒకసారి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయండి సార్ కొంచెం
ఓకే నో ప్రాబ్లం యా ఇనఫ్ వర్క్ స్పేస్ 2 మీటర్ స్క్వేర్ ఇది వచ్చేసి మినిమం మనకి 2 మీటర్ స్క్వేర్ ఏరియా అనేది ప్రొవైడ్ చేయడం వల్ల ఇట్ షుడ్ గివెన్ వితౌట్ ఎనీ రిస్ట్రిక్షన్ అంటే ఇట్ షుడ్ నాట్ బి మేక్ ఎనీ congested work area per person, and also proper roads, walkways, tracks and catwalks. And man, machine as well as equipment for material shifting, we should provide a proper and also a sufficient width of an access for the handling of materials. So with this what will happen, it can avoid the delay in man and material as well as obstructions. If the walkway or pathway is very short, so what will happen, people have a tendency to keep all the material here and there. It will become congested or it will become an obstruction for the people movement or a vehicle movements. Then sufficient doors, so we have to provide sufficient doors and windows, and also ventilators, and open space must be provided for a good ventilation. So if you are not providing proper doors and windows, ventilators, what will happen, it will become a hot, it will become the ventilation will not be there, proper airflow will not be there, so the in-house temperature will rise up. Due to that the people will get fatigue. So we should provide proper ventilation provisions, maybe in the part of in the form of door, or in the form of windows, or maybe in the form of ventilators. And also installation of machinery, floors, stairs and lifting machines, electric wiring etc. must be done to ensure safety, allows at least 1 meter space around each machine. So it is minimum of each machine around. For example, if my machine is here, at least 1 meter around I should give a space, so that in case of any maintenance activity to be done, I can go happily and I can do it. And keep the handling of materials to minimum, and also use a mechanical means to reduce the manual strain. So here what they are suggesting is, instead of doing a manual material handling, we can suggest the mechanical material handling. And also provide a safe means of access to all the work areas. So safe means of access ante easy ga, for example, if there is a pipeline bridge is there, we don't know how to reach there, so people used to go on the columns of it. So it is not like that. We should provide a proper provision to reach the pipelines, and there we should provide proper platform for the performing of any activity. Simple.
హలో సార్ కొంచెం తెలుగులో కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయండి, మొత్తం ఇంగ్లీష్ లో చెప్తున్నారు, లిటిల్ బిట్ అండర్ కొంచెం. ఓకే
ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
సేఫ్ మీన్స్ ఆఫ్ యాక్సెస్. సేఫ్ మీన్స్ ఆఫ్ యాక్సెస్ అంటే ఎక్కడైనా కూడాను ఏదైనా ఒక ఎక్విప్మెంట్ దగ్గరికి హౌ టు రీచ్. సో డెఫినెట్లీ the equipment always will not be there in height of 5 feet or 5 or 6 feet. The people can able to reach. Some of the equipments will be more than the height of 10 feet or 15 feet. In such cases, we should give a safe means of access, either in the form of a ladder, either in the form of any staircase, or either maybe in the form of a platform. ఏవైతే ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్ ని మనము జనరల్ గా రీచ్ అవ్వలేమో, పొజిషన్ కి మనం వెళ్ళలేమో, అలాంటి పొజిషన్ కి మనము ప్రాపర్ యాక్సెస్ అనేది ప్రొవైడ్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. And provide safe transport facilities for men and material. So this is also one of the good layout point. We have to provide safe transport facilities for the people to come into office, and as well as materials. And the materials అనేవి మనుషులకి safe transportation అనేది ప్రొవైడ్ చేయాలి రావడానికి వెళ్ళడానికి. And provide adequate emergency exits. So మనకి sufficient. So మనకి ఎన్బిసిలు చూస్తే, నేషనల్ బిల్డింగ్ కోడ్ చూస్తే అక్కడ మనకి చాప్టర్ 4 ఉంది, సేఫ్టీ అండ్ లైఫ్ సేఫ్టీ అని చెప్పేసి. అందులో మనకి బేస్డ్ ఆన్ కేటగిరీని బట్టి మనకి ఎమర్జెన్సీ ఎగ్జిట్స్ అనేవి డిస్టెన్స్ అనేది ఉంటుంది. 25 మీటర్ అని, 30 మీటర్ అని, 45 మీటర్ అని. దానికి అనుగుణంగా వీ హ్యావ్ టు ప్రొవైడ్ సఫిషియంట్ ఎమర్జెన్సీ ఎగ్జిట్స్. And purchase and arrange in orderly manner machines and also equipment with a built-in safety. So the equipment itself, it will have a built-in safety. Built-in safety in the sense, interlock devices. If the door is opening, it should cut off the supply of the spindle. So if the door is any equipment guard, it is open, so the machine will not going to start. If the earthing connection is not properly done, so machine is not going to be start. Like that, the built-in safety features has to be found and it has to be purchased. And alanti controls on the machines to మనం purchase చేయాలి. Isolate high noise, vibration, fire, explosion and the toxic hazards. Design a workbench, table and both the roof, ladder, platform, sheet or supports etc. with a safety standards to avoid such hazards. So to avoid high noise, but some of the equipments, it will give a high noise. కొన్ని మనకి ఎక్కువ నాయిస్ వస్తుంటాయి, కొన్ని ఎక్కువ వైబ్రేషన్ చేస్తుంటాయి. Some will have a fire hazard, some of them will have an explosion hazard and toxic hazards. So in such a way, we have to design all our workbenches and the platforms or ladders or seats or supports. It should meet the minimum safety standards. We cannot bring whatever the material which is available in the market, which will come under cheap. So we have to design in such a way our workplace should be safe, and also the workbench also is suitable for the all the kind of applications, and allow space for the future expansion.
సార్ ఇది ఎర్తింగ్ కోసం చెప్పా కదండి, మాకు ఎర్తింగ్ లేకపోయినా సెన్సార్, అది రియాక్టర్ ఆన్ అవ్వకుండా సెన్సార్ ఏమి ఉంటాయా, అక్కడ ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్ ఆర్ దేర్. ఎస్పెషల్లీ మీరు చూస్తే H2S హైడ్రోజన్ సల్ఫైడ్, మీరు పంప్స్ మనకి దాన్ని పంపింగ్ చేసేటప్పుడు వితౌట్ ప్రాపర్ ఎర్తింగ్ అవ్వలేదు అంటే మోటార్లు మనకి స్టార్ట్ అవ్వవు. There are equipments, if the earthing is not proper, not going to start. Yes, machines are there. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, explain point number 9, please, again.
Sorry. Yes, Sunny.
Sir, kindly please explain point number 9 again.
Point number 9. Okay. Yeah. So here, purchase and arrange in orderly manner machines and equipments with a built-in safety. Built-in safety in the sense, if you see, I'll give a general example. Now we are getting all the automobiles and cars and all. Now before we have an hub brakes or wheel brakes or drum brakes or disc brakes. Now we are evaluated into what is the new braking system, ABS. So we have a number of airbags have been increased, and we are getting a 360-degree camera, and we are getting auto collision sensors, and we are getting indication. So even trucks, we are having automatic braking by the sensing of the objects which is close to. These all are the inbuilt features of a car. The similar way for the equipment also, it will have an inbuilt feature. For example, if it is a machine which is running in between you're opening the door, means it will cut off the power supply. It will have some of the conditions which will have, if any guard which is opened, in that case also the machine which is going to be stopped. And also in some cases, if the earthing is also not properly connected, some of the critical equipments, especially they use in oil and gas sectors, if the earthing is not properly connected, then also the pumps or motors which will not going to be started. It is the inbuilt feature of an equipment or machine to safeguard the people as well as property. Okay. Then allow space for future expansion. It is not only thinking about the current situation, we have to think about the future also. In case of any future requirement there, we have to look for in future what kind of machines may come in. ఎటువంటి machines మనకి లోపల రావచ్చు, ఎటువంటి ప్రాసెస్ మనకి లోపల రావచ్చు. So that also we have to look. And provide repair and maintenance workshop, welfare facilities and education training facilities. దీంతో పాటుగా మనకి మెయింటెనెన్స్ వర్క్షాప్ అనేది ఉండాలి. Welfare facilities also should be there, as I mentioned, and educational training, which is nothing but a training hall or training center, should be there. Then use appropriate colors and notices, signs, labels, and posters for the safety. It is nothing but safety posters and safety displays and safety signboards. We have to choose a proper signboards, and we have to display wherever it is necessary. And provide easy location for fire alarm, firefighting equipment, personal protective equipments, emergency assembly points, medical center, and also safety office. So easy locations and simply I can say that wherever we have an emergency exit, there we used to put all these fire alarms like MCB's manual call points, and we used to put emergency masks. Some of the companies, they used to have emergency PP kits also they used to keep, as well as fire hydrant line. Then also we used to have hose reels and hose boxes. These are the things we should keep in easy locations. The people should be known, and especially they used to keep on emergency exit. Emergency exit ekkadaithe untayo వీటన్నింటిని కూడా అక్కడ పెట్టడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. Then provide and maintain good housekeeping. This is also very important, that as I mentioned before, housekeeping, I can say that almost 50% of accidents can be reduced if you are following good housekeeping practices. I can say if you are implementing proper 5S practices, we can able to reduce 50% of our accidents compared with our previous base years. Then some other factors apart from these are the factors which will be we can say it as a layout by following all these points. Some of the other points: a safe design and construction using safety standards or good engineering practices. So safe design in the sense following the standards like Bureau of Indian Standards or National Building Code, also local regulations and Factories Act, etc., and with good engineering practices. And statutory requirements for the plant layout and design. We have to follow the legal requirements as well. So legal requirement, how much it will be, the staircase width should be this much, and if your building is more than 10 meters, secondary set of windows need to be provided. The door width should be this much, and also the first aid room should be this much size, and the canteen facilities has to be provided for above 250 employees. So the toilet space should be this much. If 100 people are there, 4 toilets need to be provided. If it is more, every 50 we have to increase the number of toilets. Like that, what are the statutory requirements which is required? It should be incorporated in the layout as well as in the design. And ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనము డిజైన్ చేసేటప్పుడు మనం చెక్ చేసుకోవాలి. లీగల్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో అవన్నిటిని కూడా మనము లేఅవుట్ డిజైన్ అప్పుడే మనము ప్లాన్ చేసుకోవాలి. And containment of leakage and accidents. So containment of leakage, for example, మీరు కెమికల్ ఫ్యాక్టరీలు చూస్తుంటే మనకి డైక్ వాల్ కానీ బండ్ వాల్ కానీ కడుతూ ఉంటారు. సో అవి ఎందుకు అంటే ఇన్ కేస్ ఏదైనా బర్స్ట్ అయినప్పుడు ఇట్ షుడ్ ఏబుల్ టు కంటైన్, ఇట్ షుడ్ ఏబుల్ టు hold the liquid which has been come out from the leakage. And also for portable, we used to have a secondary containments which is for the limited quantity, about 100 liter, 200 liter, etc. And some of the secondary containments which are there up to 1000 liter also. So based on the requirement, we have to provide the leak containments as well as accidents. And segregation of different risks. So risk segregation, how we'll do a risk segregation? Risk segregation in the sense zone identification. So in our area, what kind of zones are there, like zone 0, zone 1, zone 2, that we will discuss in detail in IS 108. So risk segregation, where our tank farm area should be there, where my pipeline should be run through, where my hydrant line should go through, which and all areas I should need to keep the fire extinguishers. Like that, we have to do a risk segregation. Based on that, we have to plan our safety equipments. Then safe storage process, utilities, and also waste disposal design. We also think that safe storage in the sense, I can say a minimum storage. For example, you need a month quantity of 100 kg. A product A, you should need a 100 kg. Product B, you need 50 kg. Product C, you need a 25 kg. So this is the maximum raw material required. You can keep it only 10% or 5% over the minimum stock which is required. That is always a safe storage. And also process, how you are going to design your process, how it is flowing. అంటే ఒక ప్రాసెస్ అనేది ఎక్కడ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది, ఎక్కడ ఎండ్ అవుతుంది, ఆ ప్రాసెస్ లో ఉండే ప్రమాదాలు ఏంటి, దానికి సంబంధించిన కంట్రోల్స్ అనేవి పెట్టుకున్నామా లేదా. దెన్ యూటిలిటీస్ అంటే ఏమొస్తుంది మనకి, వాటర్, ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీ, స్టీమ్, అండ్ దెన్ హాట్ ఆయిల్, ఎక్సెట్రా ఎక్సెట్రా అన్ని కూడాను. దెన్ హెచ్విఎస్ఎస్, కంట్రోల్ కూలింగ్ సిస్టమ్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకి యూటిలిటీస్ కింద వస్తాయి. ఇవన్నీ ప్రాపర్గా ప్లాన్ చేసుకున్నామా లేదా. దెన్ వేస్ట్ డిస్పోజల్ అంటే వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్, వేస్ట్ జనరేషన్ దగ్గర నుంచి దెన్ స్టోరేజ్, హ్యాండ్లింగ్, డిస్పోజల్ వరకు మన దగ్గర ఉన్న ప్లాన్ ఏంటి, వెదర్ వీ హావ్ కన్సిడర్డ్ ఆర్ నాట్. ఎంత వేస్ట్ జనరేట్ అవుతుంది per year or per month or per day. Based on that, we have to plan for waste disposal activity as well. Then safe control room location design, safety control room, which is for the emergency. So from here only, in case of any emergency happens, from there the emergency control center also, they used to call emergency control center also ECC. From there they used to give the guidelines for the evacuation of the people, and also the design. So what and all required in the emergency control center, they used to keep a lot of amount of emergency equipments like hydrants. They used to keep the ladders, they used to keep the extinguishers, they used to keep the SCBA, self-contained vehicle operators, and they used to keep some monitors, and also some kind of different nozzles they used to keep, and fire suits, etc., based on the మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ ప్రాసెస్. అంటే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ ప్రాసెస్ని బట్టి వాళ్ళు అందులో ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్ అనేవి పెట్టుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఇవన్నీ కూడాను సేఫ్టీ స్టాక్. అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్, మనకి ప్లాంట్లో అన్ని రకాల ఫైర్కి సంబంధించినవి, సేఫ్టీ సంబంధించినవి ఉన్నా కూడా ఓన్లీ దీస్ స్పెసిఫిక్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఎక్కడైతే మనకి ఈ ఎమర్జెన్సీ కంట్రోల్ సెంటర్ లేదా సేఫ్టీ కంట్రోల్ రూమ్లో ఉన్నాయో, there they used to keep a extra stock of a requirement which will be used only during emergency. Then emergency control devices and firefighting, and also gas leak control facilities, and ample water storage. Ample water storage ante sufficient. So sufficient water storage anedi pettukodam anedi chala important. These are some of the other factors in the. Also auto controls, alarm, trips, interlocks, and necessary safety devices. This is a common system. ఇవన్నీ కూడాను ప్రతి ఎక్విప్మెంట్ కూడాను ఆటో కంట్రోల్స్ ఎలా కంట్రోల్ అవుతుంది ఇన్ కేస్ ఇఫ్ దట్ రీచెస్ ద టెంపరేచర్, సర్టెన్ టెంపరేచర్. ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐల్ గివ్ an AC. We used to put a limit. So I used to keep the 24 degree. So whenever it reaches the 24 degree, the AC will switch off. And whenever the temperature will rises up, then it will take down the temperature again to 23 and it will switch off. Then alarm system in the sense fire alarm system, smoke detectors and flame detectors, and thermal detectors, and trips. In case of any overload happens, it will get trips. Then interlocks, as I mentioned, in case of any emergency happens. For example, if it is a multi-store building, in case of any fire alarms activates, what will happen if somebody is traveling during in that lift, automatically it will come to the ground floor and it will open the doors. So such kind of control should be identified in the design phase itself for the equipments, what and all controls required. Then railings and guardings at chances of fall, a crossover, and also on a moving machinery. So railing kudano and guarding ivanni kudano very much required wherever there is a chance of fall, and also crossover అంటే ఏంటంటే ఒక మిషన్ పై నుంచి లేదంటే ఒక ఎక్విప్మెంట్ పై నుంచి లేదంటే ఒక గట్టర్ పై నుంచి మీరు క్రాస్ అవుతున్నారంటే there also you should provide a proper railing as well as guards. And roads of sufficient width and sign. These roads also in NBC, National Building Code, there are clearly given the minimum road width and also setbacks. there we can refer. Then safe loading, unloading, transportation, and also piping facilities. So loading area, where we have a loading area, where we have an unloading area, and transport and piping, how the internal transport of chemical, once it comes to the storage area, from there how it is going to the production area. All these things should be considered. And also security around the clock. So this is also very important, that how you are physically securing your premises to avoid the entering of unknown person into your premises. And wind direction and speed indicator with a recorder to know the wind direction, also speed. So we used to put the wind socks for seeing the wind direction in case of any leak happens, or in case of any fire happens, or in case of any hazardous fumes it got released, toxic fumes, or any flammables which has been released. So it is easy